the Amazon started with the premise that women could have fun on bikes and that we weren't going to be put in place by people who didn't think women should be riding bikes.
When I was with Susan Miner, and some other friends said we should take this motorcycle riding course and get motorcycles. And Susan and I did take the course, and we bought bikes right away. And I thought, oh, we should have a bike club. And I'd never had any experience with motorcycles or motorcycle clubs. I'd never even noticed them before. So came up with the Amazon's name, and we met a few more people, women with bikes, who probably would like to be named. So that was Meg Hamilton, Gita Jacobson, and Lou Martin. And the Amazons were born. And so I had a group to ride with. And, so we had lots of different people over the years.
I think being an Amazon and starting from the beginning it was a great way to meet women who were into bikes and just some great women, period. And I think that still happens, that different women come into the club and bring a whole new zest on occasion and stability on others.
I need more zest.
We need more zest, and we're not talking soap. I like the fact that we used to, and not to harp back on to some of the issues. I think the club now is much more about riding and doing distance stuff, whereas it used to be, let's go for a coffee and see what we can do. One of the neatest rides was riding through Provincetown and having literally the whole street cheer because they had not seen that many women on bikes ever. And I thought that was sort of what the Amazons were about, which was having fun, doing things, and at times very political, and protesting as Amazons against a lot of issues that people take for granted now. First of all, that gay people and lesbians and transgendered had rights. And when we first started riding, there was still a lot of distress aimed at and violence aimed at gay people. And I think that there are a lot of people now who just don't believe that. Initially, around some of the motivation for belonging to the club was also we were political. People may not be aware that the Ku Klux Klan was actually present and in Toronto, and the Grand Wizard was standing out on a balcony on Dundas Street when the Amazons drove past. Susan's then partner and passenger, out of nowhere, got a raw egg and pitched it at the Grand Poobah.
Get him right here. It's fantastic.
And I was thinking, that would have been smart if we were riding really fast and could get away. But what they had neglected to realize was that the
Satan's Choice or Vagabonds or somebody
was the
security.
Was the security, guys. And she had just missed hitting the Vagabond to get the Grand Poobah. At one point, gay marriage was not allowed. When the Amazon started, there was no such thing. Abortion and anti-choice people, we used to have little conflicts with them because we would show up at their demonstrations and protest the lack of choice and the lack of freedom for women. When the Morgentaler Clinic was burned, it was the Amazons who were there at 4 o'clock in the morning.
When I see a man who's sexist and he does something I don't like, I just tell him that he can fuck off. I enjoy being a dyke. This is the original patch that I embroidered in 1978. Over the almost 40 years of the club, I have embroidered probably 98 of those patches. So once an Amazon, always an Amazon, I guess. Embroidering patches all the time, and so it's my permission to watch TV in the winter. I'm embroidering away. Mind you, it's giving me carpal tunnel, but hey.
We lead the gay pride, and we have led the gay pride for years.
Since the get-go.
Yes. We were there when there were 450 people on Yonge Street, and we ended up in a small park, and now there are...
It's kind of more fun, actually.
It was a lot more fun. And we practically knew every gay person in town by name.
The phone call from Helen, and our response was, "You want us to go where?"
But to backtrack a bit, Doug Elliott, who's from Elliott Lake, started thinking, once the mall collapsed and everybody was down in the dumps, but instead of, as he said last night, instead of having a Black Fly Festival, let's have a gay pride in Elliott Lake. So he said to Helen Kennedy, do you know any of the girls that ride motorcycles in the Pride Parade? And she said, I'm one of them. He went, really? So, yeah, because she belongs to our club. So hence we got invited to come up to Elliott Lake. Well, there wasn't even a parade back then.
No,
Carry on, Barb.
It was just a little tour where the Emperor and Empress sat in the back of the convertible and a few bikes. I forget how many came up that first
4.
time. Rode in front, and we rode through town, impromptu ride through town, and it was just like there was nobody there. The sidewalks were empty.
I think some teenage boys gave us the finger.
Got a lot of really befuddled looks from the people that did go by.
Yeah.
Like, what the hell is that? And then there was the lucky happenstance with Misconception not being able to get there in time for the afternoon, her afternoon planned session out in the courtyard, and ended up on the main stage. Everybody loved her, and they loved the show, and
Yeah, that was fantastic. So, and since
she's been the main draw since.
Yeah, and we've become Misconceptions Amazons. I
Yes.
love that. We get a big wave and shout out at the Pride Parade because she's got her own little stand there. It's lovely. We try to stop in front of her.
Okay.
So back there somewhere in the midst of time, possibly it was in the, I don't even remember when it was. Could have been in the 2000s. Somebody named Anna Malkin contacted me because she was making a movie called The Amazing Amazons, which wasn't about us, but there were motorcycle gals in it. And I Not quite sure how she found out about us, but we were just common knowledge, probably from Pride and stuff, that she contacted me to say, would you guys be willing to be in this movie I'm making called The Amazing Amazons? I was like, are you kidding? Absolutely. So it was a fun little movie about these amazing Amazons who capture misogynistic men and take them somewhere where they can be re-educated, which is really quite a lot of fun. And so we ride down an alleyway with our, actually it was good. We had a woman in the club called Lynn Colazar who was the exact same shape and size as the star, and it was the stand-in for her. And we rode up an alleyway, grabbed these two guys, threw them on the back of a bike. It was really good fun. We had a fantastic 4-day weekend up at Ox Narrows in Haliburton Highlands. One of our club members was putting together a nice video for the club, and at the last minute, she hadn't done a bloody thing. So Barb and Janice, our brand new members, jumped in with their techie skills, and I think it was in 6 weeks, put together a pretty darn decent 30th anniversary video, and really so very grateful to them and happy about that. And we were able to show it at the 30th anniversary, so it was really 29 years of the Amazons, but hey, who's counting? We had a great turnout for that event. It was really, really fun. And Barb led a ride over to the Marine Railway at Big Chute, which people really enjoyed. And we had a quiz rally where I think Jen Puddicombe won a really nice GPS system, which she didn't want, and Barb bought it. And from then on, Barb was planning all these rides on the GPS, and I'm glad Jen sold it to me. At our 30th anniversary, I asked Barb if she would be interested in becoming the new president of the club. Not that we have official officers and all that kind of shit, but we need, a leader. And I guess I asked Nadine as well, and so Barb and Nadine became the new co-presidents.
In 2006, I bought my first bike, a 250 Virago.
Right.
Princess. She felt like a great big pig at the time. At any rate, and then we met the Amazons in 2007, and we started riding with them, and I was all excited. I was a new rider. This was wonderful. I thought this was amazing, and I couldn't for the life of me figure out why people didn't want to lead more rides. Because quite frankly, at the time, and my experience since then has been that leading is the best place to be.
I didn't have the pleasure of meeting you in the same way that so many others did, I heard.
Bessie, that's just a rumor.
Well,
That is
good enough.
definitely a rumor.
Well, there's a lot of those rumors that ran around back in those days.
Right.
I know I met you when I was riding my Triumph, and my Triumph was unrestored originally and
Right.
then got restored. Still didn't run quite as well as those Japanese bikes that other women were riding. And you might remember following JB and getting coated in oil from the
No, suddenly there was an oil leak and
52 BSA. It was the BSA. It wasn't my Norton.
No, but was I behind her?
Yes,
Somebody
you
had,
were.
like,
You
my
got
windscreen was
coated.
covered in oil.
That was you.
Now that was a 53 BSA, right?
52.
52, 1952
But,
BSA.
you know.
Gorgeous bike,
Gorgeous bike.
but sprang a leak. So yeah, that was funny. And now we were on our way to a women's motorcycle festival in the Finger Lakes.
Yes, we were.
Right.
And we had to park one bike and double up on another and
That's
then
right.
come back and get that bike.
Right.
Yeah, the oil return valve stuck open.
Right.
And all the oil went on
Yeah.
your windshield, which was, you know, fulfilling a kind of a joke that people tended to make about British bikes in those days.
Right. Yes, indeed.
And
Yeah.
where
Did we meet you? What was the situation?
We met at the Bad Ride.
All right. Bikers Against Despair.
Yes. That was quite some time ago.
Yeah, it was ages ago. Wasn't it raining that time too?
Yes, it was.
It was raining.
I
Yes.
rode with the Zen Riders.
Right.
And then I wanted to, because they were predominantly a male group, and be it that I'm 100% lesbian, I wanted a women's group. And I was introduced to Sue and a few of the other members started riding.
Allison, what year did you start riding with the Amazon?
2001. And you?
Well, I wasn't an Amazon, but I saw you in the parade in 2002. And that was the year that I said, I want to be her. You had the red wings. And so the Amazons had a booth,
Yep.
table set up, and I went up and I saw Maze. And I said, Maze, how do I become the girl with the red wings?
One of our, a women's club from New York City was celebrating their 20th anniversary. I think it was just before we celebrated our 30th anniversary. So that was in Pennsylvania. She's also an excellent stripper.
That same trip, it's true. Well, it was a fundraiser, so I was doing it for charity. I was doing
Right. So the Sirens had well, they had sort of an evening show, and so they had this little strip contest where you put money in people's.
We'll call it G-string. I didn't have a G-string
G-string,
on. I
right.
had a borrowed, because all my underwear was like cotton granny underwear. So I borrowed a lovely pair of, I think it was polyester boxers from Sue and Stacy.
Leopard print.
I beg pardon. Leopard print, yes. That were actually sentimental underwear. And they're like, one of you said to me,
Stacy bought them.
whatever
for
you
me
do,
somewhere.
don't lose these or whatever. Well,
Right.
guess what?
What else did she throw to some other people in the audience?
I took off my vest. I had my Amazon's vest on, and I twirled it around and I threw it. Guess what? They didn't
They didn't give it back.
They didn't give it back. Like, who does that?
I wanted to talk about where my heart is with this group. And it didn't happen until World Pride. And I showed up where I was staying for the weekend and did the Dyke March, parked the bike, got up Sunday morning, tried to start the bike. It would not start. Waited until maybe 10 minutes before I was supposed to be at the meeting place, which is a big deal for World Pride. You have to be at this meeting place. And I grabbed a cab and dried my tears, got dropped off at the opposite corner where everybody met up, and everybody was getting a group photo taken, so I jumped in the group photo. And then I was ready just to hightail it back to Church Street on my own. And Stephanie and Tina offered each of them to put me on the back of their bike. So I took Stephanie up on it and got to the start of the parade. And then I was not interested in being in the World Pride Parade, not on my own bike. So I just meandered around and took pictures. And an Amazon angel, who was not even an Amazon at the time, approached me and gave me the keys to her bike and said, "You are riding in the parade." And of course, you don't want to be responsible for anyone else's bike. You don't want to put your leg over anything that you can't afford. And this was Tracy. And I will never be able to express to her how much that meant to me, that I was able to ride.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm getting goosebumps.
Right.
Pretty much what is the Amazons Club for me? It's the idea, the people, and the patch.
right?
So the idea starts with exactly what you said, protesting, helping people. Later on, when laws changed, when society changed, you move towards doing charity runs. And so nothing of the scary stuff that you usually associate bikers with or associate patches with. It's all good stuff. And this idea will probably continue, but now in the next generation, who knows what this idea will morph into.
Were you riding?
Number
My
two.
first bike was a small Honda Kawasaki, let me rephrase that, a small Kawasaki Vulcan, but it was too small for me. I think everyone would admit that it was just too small for me.
Yeah, because that's a low cruiser and you're tall. So,
Yeah.
right? And then,
I upgraded to a sweet ride. I love my Honda State Line. It suits my height so much.
right.
You know, no bike's perfect. No one ever is, but still, you know, I've had the State Line 3 years, and I've done about 12,000 kilometers every year.
Wow, that's really good.
Yeah, so do I. But that's okay. Does this vest make me look fat? Does my muffin show? I'll sit up a little straighter.
Yeah, or suck it in.
Yeah. Do you remember when we were going up to the bad ride?
It wasn't the bad ride.
No, it was Dover.
Dover.
When we were riding.
That's correct.
And we were there.
Yes.
And kind of like reached into a pocket and I popped in. I think it was a sweetheart, wasn't it?
No, gum.
Gum?
Yes.
Oh, yes. You
Stick
want
of
some?
gum.
Yeah. Who'd you have on the back? You had somebody on the back.
My first big ride was when we went to the Finger Lakes, and that was
right.
awesome.
The Five Finger Lake.
Yes, yeah, it was
It's
just
more than five, though.
it was amazing because you and Stacy had organized the trip around political events that were relevant to feminism and black struggle, civil rights. And actually, the first place that we stopped was not intended to, be a part of this series of political sites, but it actually was very relevant because it was Attica.
Right.
And, yes.
Right.
So
Maybe we weren't that
so we went to visit Attica.
We did.
Yeah, and we thought that we would do a little documentation, and went to the parking lot and got off our bikes. Started to get off our bikes, some of us, when all of a sudden, through a very loud speaker, big voice, we heard that we ought to clear out immediately.
Right.
So I know you do Tai Chi, and that's kind of a slow-moving exercise, but you moved rather fast.
I did
At
manage
that
to get
point.
off a couple of pictures, though.
You did.
The Gaspé trip was really my first big long trip where, having to repack everything every morning and, just moving from place to place and riding through all kinds of conditions and it was fabulous.
Yes.
Yeah, that trip was really, really very, very important to me for a number of reasons. I have such great memories of it. And I'm just mostly I'm so proud of myself because
Rightly so.
sometimes I still think to this day, wow, I fucking did that,
Hey.
Yeah, which doesn't seem like, that big of a deal if you've done it a
But when
few
you're
times.
first starting out, it is that big of a deal.
Yeah.
Because you go on from there, but you got to start somewhere.
That's
and
it.
That's pretty.
That's it.
It was a long time before I did a big trip like that. Way longer than that. So, how did you start getting into motorcycling?
Well, I was married and went to the Dominican Republic for 2 weeks, and we rode mopeds there. And that is the only thing I really remember about that 2-week period. So when mopeds started becoming popular, every time I saw one going by, my head would just be whipping around, and I decided that I'm going to get my license. So I did, signed up for the course and didn't tell anybody, and took the course and passed, and the rest is history.
I have not gone on a long ride with the group. We went to Elliott Lake, which was about 7 hours. It was relatively long.
Yep. Well, that's been a good ride.
That's a good ride.
You came last year.
I came last year. That was a great trip.
And it was an extra great Elliott Lake trip because it was warm and it was dry.
That's the way I hear it always is. From my experience, 100% of the time going to Elliott Lake, it is perfectly warm and dry.
Have you been twice?
No,
Or are you
just the one.
joking? You're
Just
just
the one.
kidding, right?
Just the one.
Right.
No, it was good.
Yep.
It was an amazing trip, and I met some amazing people while we were up there. I can't believe how welcoming we were when we were up there. I used to live in Northern Ontario, and although it was very welcoming, it didn't seem terribly welcoming to the LGBT community.
Right.
And it was very, very cool that they were so open while we were there.
I like the little prides, and especially like Elliott Lake Pride, because we're definitely a thing for them. I'm going to do something that those guys don't know about right now, because I decided, based on your enthusiasm last season and over this winter, that
Wow, that looks
I'm
great.
actually going to patch you in right here. So we picked these colors previously, and I hope that green that is going to show up in front of the green screen, or maybe there'll just be a hole in
Oh,
here.
it's in front of you. That's
So
great.
I'm passing it over. You're patched in.
Thank
Show
you
it
very
to the
much.
camera. Hold it right up.
Thank you.
Yay!
That's great. So now for everyone that wants to know, now I got the patch.
right.
So the answer is yes, I have a patch.
Yay! Take one.
Oh.
Take three. I don't even like beer.
We also did a few winter events or off-season events.
Oh, we did,
which
didn't we?
seemed
Yeah.
to go well for a number of years.
Yep. Brunch and billiards.
It was
at
kind of fun.
Pegasus.
And then we did Cosmic Bowling was a
yeah.
lot of fun.
Yeah, that was fun.
One of the charity rides we used to do was the Roar Ride. And I remember one of the first Roar rides, we won a gift certificate for dirt biking for a day.
Oh, yeah.
That was the most
right
fun I've ever had on two wheels in many senses, because it was such a different experience riding on a dirt bike.
It wasn't until 2000 when I decided we should do a week away every year. And we've just come back from our 17th week away. And twice we've done 2 weeks away. One was all through the Maritimes. I remember it fondly. There were 16 of us, and we were camping in torrential rain and riding. We saw the Cabot Trail. We didn't see the Cabot Trail. It was torrential rain. It was a really rainy 2 weeks in August. That was the best time to go, except it wasn't. And my favorite 2 weeks away was to South Dakota. So I feel now we're doing really good riding, lots of really good riding, and day rides and weekend rides.
It'll be interesting to see where the club goes in the future once Barb and I move to Elliott Lake.
Well, it will exist without you.
Absolutely.
If I can be bothered. Just saying.
Get yourself a Garmin.
30 years? No, I will never get a Garmin.
Get a Garmin and get her maps. And
No.
you're set.
17 years I've heard you say that. And yet, every year.
Yeah, right. Well, winter comes and I'm ready in the spring, and then
Childbirth.
halfway through it's like, oh, for fuck's sake, why do I bother? But anyway,
Pretty
I'll
much.
probably keep saying that, but I do bother because I can't help it. I am a groupie.
I'm going out tonight. I'm going out tonight. I'm going out tonight, baby, for a ride. You can come if you want to on the back of my motorbike. We can ride around. Yeah, we can go downtown. We can ride around till the sun falls from the sky. To a blues joint rockin', it's as hard as a house on fire. Do you wanna go? Do you wanna go? Do you wanna go, baby, for a ride? What's that you say? You got your own motorbike. Let's go out tonight. Let's go out tonight. Let's go out tonight, baby, for a ride. Won't you take me for a ride on the back of your motorbike?
Greetings, Earthlings. Your benevolent dictator here, the Luddite. I've just had a chance to preview this great Amazon's documentary here at Two Biker Studios at Estrogen Acres, and I'd like to add a few final words. I am officially stepping down as leader of the club. Now, of course, I'm still going to lead some rides, and Mace, I promise I'm not going to try to lead any rides from the back. It's been a fabulous 44 years, and now I hand the throttle over to the future generation of technology-addicted Amazons. Keep the rubber sides down and the shiny sides up. That's it for me.
Yeah, I like the bubonic plague rodents. I think the signs for bubonic plague, I find that engaging somehow.
How can a prairie dog that's so cute carry bubonic plague? That's a filthy lie.
Within 2 or 3 minutes, but it was the moment it was a nice fluid, everything. Oh, yes! Now we're going to talk about the club. Now we're going to tell the truth about what,
This is probably for an outtake.
Can you superimpose me as a completely different person, like say a Sophia Loren or what?
Okay, that's the gang.
Our front and do the bagel dance.
doesn't count if you don't have the bagel. You just look stupid.
That's a hamster dance.
Okay. Nobody here needs a bagel to look stupid.
That's your job.
Fucking brain.
Thank you for that.
Okay.
All right.